Welcome to episode 3 of Real Japan, the podcast where we talk about real movies, not fake movies, aka anime. I'm Laven, and I'm joined with a ragtag assortment of humans.
Yes.
Yes, we are humans.
Humans are we.
Good. They are definitely humans and not weird replicants that I found or made.
That is all true. I am Josh.
I am Stacy.
I'm Jason.
And here we are for another thrilling Real Japan. This week we are reviewing Shogun Samurai.
No.
Oh, crap. Check out. Okay, sorry. There's a lot of samurai movies that are all called Samurai something. This is an issue that came up that we'll talk about later. Sorry. Samurai.
No. Shogun Assassin.
What did I say?
You
Samurai. Again.
said Shogun Samurai, and then you said Samurai something.
Shogun Assassin.
Sorry.
Shogun Assassin.
Shogun Assassin. He does not kill the Shogun.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
He doesn't even meet the Shogun.
I know he does. Oh, I'm sorry, it's been cut out. We'll talk about that later, too.
Well, in the movie that we watched, he doesn't meet the Shogun. Or know where the Shogun lives, because he wanders.
Alright, so obviously nobody knows what this show is about. So a brief rundown of this. This is from the manga Lone Wolf and Cub, which is an old manga. It is put out by Dark Horse Comics. Can we put those guys?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay, totally.
I would like that.
Or we're just wrapping them. But yeah, they do the official release in the US.
Yeah, it's a nice, like, heavy ink style
It's like
manga.
smaller volumes, I remember.
Yeah, it's really cool. If you like any of the older style stuff, definitely take a look into it. In this, like, the 70s, they made a series of movies, live action movies for them, and then what we're watching is Shogun Assassin, Sword and Sorcery with a Vengeance.
Is it the official full title?
Well, that's the theatrical release poster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that says that. Meet the greatest team in the history of mass slaughter. Shogun Assassin, Sword and Sorcery with a Vengeance is the actual full thing on the...
Very good.
Yeah. All right. This here is it too soon to use the word abomination?
Well, I guess you've used it. Spoiler alert for the rest of the
Close
podcast.
enough.
This movie was an abomination.
Like the Chimera from Full Metal Alchemist, it was
Spliced together.
two different parts spliced together
Somebody's daughter
to
died.
create a monstrosity.
Yeah.
Yes. They took there's 6 films in the series, and they took 12 minutes of the first film, and then some shots of the second film that they mashed together to create a semblance of a film, tied together by the inner voice of the small child, the cub. Yes,
forget his
Cub,
name.
if you will. Daigoro.
Daigoro. Yes.
So the kid was, like, in the movie, he was supposed to be, like, 2 or 3, and then the voiceover of the kid was, like, when he was 6?
I don't know. I don't have kids. I'm not great at that.
Well, I think it's supposed to be like an indiscriminate amount of time in the future because he's saying it as he like remembers it.
Yeah.
Even though he still has like a small child's voice, but in the film he's like a little toddler kind of a kid. But in the narration, it seems like he's older and he's recounting like what happened throughout his childhood.
Right.
None of this was in the original Lone Wolf and Cub movies because they didn't need to splice in a narrative to explain what was happening. You actually just saw what happened, but since they cut out so much of the first movie, they used the narrative to try to fill in the gaps.
You could say this is like Power Rangers in that they just used the footage, but then had to do their American narrative over the top of it to like make it make sense, like in the original Power Rangers.
One of the reasons why we're watching this one is because we're based out of Portland, Oregon, and they were showing this on
At Hollywood Theater. They had a rare 35mm print that they were actually going to show, which sounded pretty cool. It would have been awesome. We were helplessly sabotaged by someone who we can name if we want, but I think you all know who it is if you're fans of the show.
Who's the one who sabotages everything?
Yeah. Apparently he went ahead and he went and bought all the tickets.
He bought all the tickets to the entire theater, and so...
and then he asked, "Oh, guys, you didn't pre-order your tickets? Oh, well, it's sold out now."
Yeah, maybe you should be, yearly members, and that you can come watch whatever show you want.
Yeah, platinum members, they get their name on the board.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, we're not, and we just wanted to see a samurai flick real quick.
Which they unfortunately put as part of a kung fu series at the theater, which is just, no.
It's pretty sacrilegious.
That's not. Anyway.
Yeah, so
another...
so Hollywood Theater, it's like every Tuesday or every like one Tuesday a month, they have a special where it's Kung Fu Theater, where they show just Kung Fu movies, old Kung Fu movies.
Yeah, but this is not a Kung Fu movie.
No,
Yeah.
No.
But I think their
Not
thing
in
is,
any stretch of the imagination.
I think their thing is like dubbed Asian cinema, sort of like fighty, like action Asian cinema.
Well, yeah, but
they call it a kung fu movie, like that's their block's name, but
yeah, but they should just say like martial arts cinema.
oh yeah, you want to get all PC. You can't call
Yeah.
it. You can't be saying stewardess anymore. You got to say flight attendant.
Yeah.
You can't call it kung fu movies. You got to it's a
Kung Fu.
Pan Asian action martial arts film.
Yeah, at least somebody learned a lesson that night. Not Kenny.
No.
Yeah.
So then, okay. So, anyways, to get back to the whole point, none of us had tickets besides Kenny,
The movie was sold out.
and we're like, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, well, you know what? Let's do this old school. Let's go to Movie Madness, which is like the only
Like a
like a-
local, long-running historic movie chain that they recently saved from closing through crowdfunding.
It's like
Yeah.
a movie rental store.
Yes, a
Yes.
movie rental store.
If you guys are, if you
Do you
guys
know
are
what
still,
those are, kids?
It's like Blockbuster.
You know what a
but-
blockbuster is, or it used, or what Redbox is now, basically. Except it was a brick and mortar store instead
Yes.
of a stand-up vending machine.
Back in the day, you couldn't stream any sort of media over your internet connection.
because there wasn't an internet
There
connection.
was, yeah. At first, there was no
What?
internet, which you'll be surprised to hear. And then after that, it was slow internet that you couldn't get movies or moving pictures of any sort over.
This is all true.
We had to
This
go
is
to places to get things.
Exactly. So we went to this place.
We used to go there a lot. This is about the first time in 10 years or so that I've been there.
Meaning she does have a membership.
I was no longer active.
Was it like
Well,
was it like
I-
a laminated card?
No.
Like a,
Oh no! Now they just use your driver's license.
Well, more like my parents.
I was hoping you had,
my
like, a
parents
movie
had
club card.
have a membership, but since I haven't lived at home in 12 years, like I guess I could make my own membership since
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know
an
why you did that.
adult now.
I think
That means they can follow you.
I thought like Hollywood Video used to use like your phone number.
Yeah.
There's like an alternate ID type thing.
Yeah.
Either way, we're in a rush. We're trying to make up time because of the sabotage. We immediately run in. Stacey has already checked to make sure that they have the film. She grabs it.
Because of the scores of people who go into Movie
Yes.
Madness trying to, on like a Tuesday, trying to get...
I need the samurai movies.
Shogun Assassin.
No, we grabbed Samurai Assassin. And I'm like, that's a little weird because to the right, about a foot away, is a whole section called Lone Wolf and Cub. Are you sure this is the right movie? Which apparently I don't know what the name of the right movie is.
Yeah. So I went back, I looked at my phone again. Oh no, it was actually Shogun Assassin because I had remembered Samurai Assassin because
Yeah, so you guys can see where I also made the mistake.
What a like weird anachronistic thing you guys did is like go to a movie store to rent a DVD and then look up a bunch of information on your phone while you're standing there. Like I don't know which one's which. Let's check it out.
well, because they do have their catalog on the website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But like during times when that was a thing, you wouldn't have had the ability to like look up things on the fly about movies you wanted to watch. You would have been like, well, I think this might be it.
Yeah. And then after we picked the correct movie from the shelf, we looked around the rest of the store because we hadn't been there a while. Went back to the anime section, seeing there are still some VHSs you can rent there even.
Nice.
And they
Was
had
this movie on VHS?
That was not
Stacey
good.
saw
a
You guys have a
VHS.
VCR, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I do have a
Of course-
VCR
of course we have one.
somewhere. I don't think I've unpacked it since we moved, but it is somewhere in the
Gotta have a
house.
VCR.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
I mean,
yeah.
and you also have to have a Laserdisc player, but
I never got that.
it's part of the
That was too much.
mystique.
Yeah,
Yes.
4.
Yeah, but not now.
Either way, the only thing Kenny really gave us for that night is he recommended us to go find the...
Bad people section?
Yes. So I think we found it. We found a section titled Naughty Nazis that had like Vixen Girls of the Wehrmacht. Might have to go back there at some other point in time. Not for this podcast.
Yeah.
No, we can have a spin-off episode.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
episode 3B. Talk about Nazi films.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were an Axis power. That's how we'll tie it together.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about some Romanian films.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Anyways, so we've managed to get everything together. Decided just to watch it at the house.
Got some pizza.
Yeah, got some Zaz, brah.
Got some popcorn. Popped in the DVD. The title screen, I think, it was actually probably the best part, because it was just this part where the guy's got his head cut off and he's standing there with a fountain of blood, and you just see the lone wolf and cub. They have just moved past them in the standard samurai movie tradition of when you like run past people and then you see what happens.
Yeah.
It is on a constant loop.
Yeah, like a poorly done GIF where it doesn't loop. It just like plays it and then goes to the beginning and starts over.
Yeah.
Good times.
But the loop was like 2 seconds, so it was very like quickly like the blood head kind of falling down and then just like reappearing and falling down again.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the best part, because I believe I'm the only one here who's actually read the manga and watched all the movies, like the full movies.
That's true.
I've never actually seen this cut of it.
I have seen all of the movies with you. I wasn't reading the manga, but sometimes you would show me, like, either ultra-violent or strange things from the manga. Mm-hmm. So basically my memory of that is, like, yam dildos and such.
It's
You
true.
remember that scene.
There's some of that. There's also,
Yes.
that's where I learned the term, which I forget now because it's been so many years, where you wrap somebody up in a tatami mat, like a sushi roll, and throw them off the bridge. There's actually a term for that.
Yeah. I remember that came up in Ranma.
And that came up in ramen as well.
I don't remember the term, though.
Yeah. So I will have to find out.
You know, when
as well.
Ramana goes on like a Christian killing expedition
Yeah, that's how you do that.
during that chapter.
So, so a general plot of the whole thing is the Tyler character, who we'll call Lone Wolf, just because it'd be easier than actually remembering his name.
Nobody remembers
Because nobody they don't really mention his name.
No, he's just
or the kids.
he's the bad man.
Sometimes
Yeah.
he says his son's name.
Yeah,
but
the son's name is actually said. I don't think his name is actually
I think
said.
somebody
must say it.
I think one of the people who was going after him said, "Oh, Ogami is doing this."
Yeah, like they say that. Like
But-
this film really requires you to know what's going on, because they really do just cut out like the whole beginning, just relying on the kid talking about some stuff, but they don't really go into stuff. So generally speaking, what it is that he's a high-ranking official, gets blamed for disrespecting the Shogun because some old crazy man that you'll see show up throughout the film wants that position for his family, the Yagyu family.
Because he was like the head executioner, right?
Lone Wolf is the head executioner, so the other clan just wants that position, so they frame him for something, and then Lone Wolf is ambushed, his wife gets killed, and then he fights his way to freedom, and then they set up to where they're going to have a duel and kill him that way. And so the Yagyu family sends their best son to go kill him. And you actually see this part in the film. Mm-hmm. And this is actually like the best part of this film is actually just the fight scenes, because
Well, that's the only part.
the plot is gone. So these are the best part.
Yeah.
And they do some trickery where he puts a mirror on the kid's forehead, and he's carrying him on his back. So they do like I said, the standard samurai thing where they run at each other, and he drops his head at the last second, reflecting the sun into the other clan member's eyes, blinding him, and then he gets decapitated. And that's the part that's said on that reel at the beginning.
Yeah.
That is, like I said, this is the most delightful part for me.
So would you say that was a old-fashioned solar flare?
Yes, probably will not be the only Dragon Ball reference we make tonight.
No.
Yes. I was told I wasn't allowed to make Dragon Ball references, but now Jason brought it up, so.
No, you are still banned from making Dragon Ball references. Everybody else is feel free.
We can't go down that
Damn
tangent.
it!
We'll never come back.
Yes. And then, so he's like, oh, yes, I have, won this duel. I will no longer be bothered by these people. And then they
again.
show up and they're like, well, you didn't read the fine print of this agreement. Your life is spared, but not that of your child. And they try to murder his child. And then he murders his way through, a lot.
Like 700
Yeah.
samurai that are just around.
A lot.
Yeah, he just murders his way through, and then the whole point is that, so they begin to wander to Japan while they're being constantly attacked by ninja and Yagyu's men.
Other assassins are being hired.
Yeah, and then he takes a job, which they briefly touch on, to assassinate people to make money. So in the manga, what he's doing is he's saving up all this money so he can finally have his revenge at the very end of it. Like I said, they don't really cover that here. They just have this one scene where they show him being hired. He's still a samurai. He still has honor, but there's that point in time when you're like, okay, is the honor worth more than my life and that of my son and like by extension family? And so he's willing to still assassinate people, but he does the whole I only kill evil people and stuff like that. He's not going around murdering whoever. He does improve people's lives and such like that.
Improving lives through murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, sometimes that's the only way.
That's kind of how things happened back then, right?
Yeah.
It's feudalism. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just how it goes. So that's the basic premise of it. But it was just like this weird cut made back. So the original films were made in the 70s. This was a cut in the 80s.
I think like 1980. Yeah.
Yeah, 1980. That was like specifically made for British and American audiences. Apparently, there was about 10 people that did the voices for it, but I think there was only like 2 people, and they just made 10 voices.
Yes, I should mention that. So when we first press play on the movie, and it starts playing, it's like, oh, it's dubbed. Let me go back to the settings to change that, and then it's like, there are no other settings. This is only available dubbed, and that is because it is a cut of 2 movies together that they created, so hence there is no original Japanese version of Shogun Assassin.
Yeah, and so this is the second betrayal by Kenny. 1, buying all the tickets so we couldn't go see it in the theater, and 2, being the one to initially recommend us to go see this one, rather than just seeing if we can just watch the original, not whitewash.
We should probably do that as like a follow-up to this episode. And watch the real one and be like, wow, it's so much better. Like, it's like a plot and it makes sense and it's great.
Yeah.
So, watching the full Dragon Ball versus Lone Wolf and Cub Kai.
That will be the last Dragon Ball reference we make.
Will it?
I really hope so.
Laban's like, I'm quickly reaching my limit of Dragon Ball references.
I used to love Dragon Ball.
So,
not
But
anymore.
yes, the quality of the dubbing, it was pretty obvious that there was not that many people working as the voices, and there's a lot of, no-name characters that he's just killing in that, or, side people who are talking to other people. So it seemed very clear that by the wacky voices that were coming out of some of them, that it's just like a few people trying to make it sound like it's more people, but that really bad accent type of thing going on.
yeah, and then sometimes they didn't even bother to translate what they were saying. There's this one part where the guy's like, "Hi."
Oh, yeah. That was weird. They did have some parts where they dubbed it, but yeah, they said hi or ne at the end of a sentence. It's like, if you're already dubbing it in English, why are you keeping any of that stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just very, very weird.
Like,
Some of the times
it's weed.
I thought
before that was a
some
word.
of the times they definitely dubbed the Japanese again, which was weird. But sometimes they just outright left it in. They didn't even bother, because you could tell like the audio changed. It wasn't like dubbed. Or you're like, what? And then it's like one random guy being like, oh, what? And then like gets killed or whatever. And you're like, oh, you didn't.
Yeah, like during fight scenes, there was some where you could tell that the background noise was not dubbed, and you could. I mean, if you knew Japanese, you could make out some of the lines. Like I heard one guy's like, "Koroshite," like I'll kill you.
Yeah, and then like it was digitally remastered except for the stock footage.
And it had a nice subtitle. It would just say unrestored archive footage.
That was interesting.
All right.
I mean, it made it look like more like it was some illegally made cut together version with this stock. Yes.
Unrestored stock footage.
stock
It was
footage.
only for like exterior shots where it was like a picture of like a castle or something.
Or
Yeah. That was
Yeah,
kinda
it was like,
weird.
oh, well, you're at the Imperial Palace type thing. Yeah. It was just like positioning shots, but because it's a hack job in more ways than one. The real question is,
how do we explain what's going on?
exactly. So what they chose to use is the kid. At some age, we talked about this a little bit earlier, kind of telling the story in the first 10 minutes of what was going on. I mean, what do you guys think of the use of that too? Because we've talked about this in the other episodes as well. You have to compress these films. So they had 2 films, which were probably a little bit compressed as it was from the original manga, down even more. So how do you explain the missing parts in this? In case they decided to use the kid to tell the story?
Yeah, they made this like monologue sort of retelling of events from the kid's point of view, which I think it worked. Like, if without it, we'd be completely lost, and we'd have no idea what was happening. It would just be this guy killing a bunch of people because people are pissed, and we would have no idea why. So, I mean, it was kind of cheesy and campy to have it, but you needed it, and it wasn't, like, the worst. Like, the kid's voice wasn't annoying or anything, so it worked out.
Yeah, it's actually probably the best voice acting.
Yeah, it was the only...
It was more like just a natural child voice rather than someone going, "Oh, I'm playing a character who's on screen for 5 seconds."
Sure. Yeah, but he had the most speaking parts. Like, there's also mostly no dialogue in this movie, except for some random spots. But this kid was constantly talking, so it was great that he was not annoying, so it was actually bearable to, like, listen to the narrative being told.
Going off of that, besides, like, grunts, the main character probably had 10, 20 lines of dialogue total.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most of that was actually in the beginning when, after the mother is killed, and he's trying to decide what to do, he's like, okay, my little cub, you have 2 choices to make. If you come over to me and grab my sword, I will take you with me and we will live a life of slaughter. But if you grab the ball, I will murder you and send you to be with your mother, who's dead. And I think that's his entire line. Except for explaining the one part that we'll talk about later with the alleged rape scene.
Yeah.
Wow, spoiler alert. Spoilers for the podcast that we're going to get to later.
Yes. Okay. Oh, we have a question or a talking point.
Yes, we have a special guest.
Special guest from someone who was not able to join us.
Yeah.
あなたの好きな詩はどれですか?
Oh, that's a great question, Kenny.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, really, what is your favorite death of the whole film? I already said mine. Like I said, just that thing on loop at the beginning. Yeah. Because also, I knew what it was. Like, because I wasn't familiar. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that scene. It's a great scene.
I think I liked where there was like a ninja hiding behind a door, and he just like threw the sword, and it went through the door, and then it just kind of came down in this suspiciously straight line as the person fell down dead.
It's a perfect cut, yeah.
Yeah, it was like so very perfect.
I really enjoyed when all the female ninja were like hacking apart the the guy. Because during the scene, basically, there's this group of female ninjas, like a whole troop of them, that is there, and I don't know, one of the rival clans or something is trying to get their like cooperation. So in like the negotiation to get their cooperation, I don't know, it somehow comes about where they're like trying to call into question like how good the female ninja actually are, and so the leader of the ninja is like, okay, we'll send your best man over here to prove this. And so he's like, okay, and he brings his best man into like the little dojo area, and okay, try to escape. So he's like, okay, and he tries to leave, and the female ninja swarm him and start like doing acrobatics and like stopping him from leaving, and in the process of this, like cutting him apart. So you see like little pieces of his like face and his arms and his like skin like being left all over the place, and you're like, what? And then they just
fillet him.
Yeah, they fillet him essentially, like while he's trying to fight out, and they kill this guy's best man, and the guy's just like, I guess they're great at being ninja. Cool, you're hired. Let's do this.
Yeah.
You killed my best person, so I guess all I have left is you guys.
Yeah.
12 people versus 1. Obviously, my guy will come out on top.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think, one of the things with it is, like, it is a old Japanese film. It is a, jidaigeki, a samurai film, period film. And so they're also probably going with the whole thing of like, oh, will a woman be able to do this?
Yeah, no, that part makes sense. But I thought they do like some kind of test where they like pin him down and they're like, see, we're the best. Not like, we're going to murder your guy.
It was a different time then.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was a different time, different rules.
Sometimes
you got to break a few eggs.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't judge.
What about you, Jason? What do you think your favorite?
I think I will go with the Swiss Army knife of the baby carriage. So the carries around the kid pushing a stroller for the most part, made of wood, and at halfway through the movie, 2/3 of the way through the movie, he comes across the
aforementioned female ninjas.
Yeah, the female ninjas. they start to come and swarm him. So he starts taking apart the carriage, and magically it's all actually just random weapons that he ends up cobbling together and makes a dual-ended
like a glaive.
Yeah, a glaive, and a couple other
Or
things.
naginata if you want to keep it topical.
All right.
Ooh, topical, huh? Is there a lot of...
Oh, I talk about it constantly. I don't know about you guys.
Which
Has it been in the news lately?
which in the 6 or the actual originals, Josh showed us one version of it where it actually apparently has firepower.
Yeah, it has
it had spiked wheels.
No, it had, yes. There's the one that has like the chariot wheels.
That was in the movie we saw.
Was he all the stuff?
Yeah, because the Daikon was in the front, and he pushes it. Remember, he kicks it.
Oh, that's right.
It.
Yeah, so he pushes it, but he doesn't push it very hard, but it just seems to
There's a slight
pick up
hill.
speed.
Like chariot style. There's like these blades coming out of the wheels.
Yeah. And it completely hacks off their feet at the shins.
They're not wearing anything down there.
No, but
so
it's like
gonna
rolling
happen.
at like he kicks it, but there's not really a hill. He's just it's just sort of going at
It's
normal
going
speed.
3 miles an hour, but it can take.
There is a live kid in there. The only time that they don't use a live kid is where he's like fighting through all the guys to escape, and you can see it's obviously like a doll.
Right.
Every other time they were using an actual kid, so they can't actually really put the kid in there and go
That's
down.
all fine, but the cart is going so slow, and they don't speed up the footage. It just looks super slow, and then it gets to the part where like the cart's getting near the kit, the people, and then it sort of starts jump cutting to like hit their shins, and then the blade ripping through the shins, and you're like, what? How can it possibly? It's going like 1 mile an hour beforehand. How's it
This
possible?
is from the same era that they made the $6 Million Man, where they just
Yeah.
That's fine.
So they probably just did
That was special effects. This was like random jump cuts and not believable speed physics to like make this like work out. I believe a lot of like the hacking off of heads like more so than I believe like that this blade on a wheel would do anything to these shins. They could just like see it coming and be like nope and step right over and it would be fine.
Well, but I don't think they were expecting. I think they were like, "Oh, he just kicked the baby towards us.
But
whatever. We got to watch him because the female ninjas use this technique. They're walking towards him.
Yeah.
And they start throwing radishes, daikon at him to distract him.
That's true.
And then they're going to attack him. So they were thinking, "Oh, the baby car's been pushed towards us. What we need to keep our eyes on is Lone Wolf. He is going to murder us." They're not thinking, "Oh, I got to step over these blades." They probably are not suspecting that at all.
I don't remember. Did the blades pop out right before they get to the shins, or I thought they popped out way early on, like mid.
Well, he probably has to activate it, and then he pushes.
Yeah, I thought
The kid had to push a button.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so he must.
Yeah, because he also uses it to put a spear out from the front end to stab one.
I do remember that part. That part made more sense because it's a spear, like a spring-loaded spear, stabbing into a man, and then the spring-loaded knives coming out, and then just still rolling like super slow, like tractor speed. You're like, that's not going to do anything, dude. It's just going to stop, and they're going to.
I mean,
You've watched Konosuba.
It might put a cut.
What happens at the beginning of Konosuba?
Yeah, but that's an anime. It wasn't an actual real life. Full realistic shot of a baby carriage moving very slowly. Where I'm like, okay, Austin Powers, steamroller style, not gonna kill anyone.
I can't get out of the way.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this leads to another question that we actually had from Kenny that we actually don't have lined up. Actually, I was gonna go with the. Okay, so we're gonna do a.
We need to ask Kenny-chan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it purposely campy?
Oh yeah. Kenny did have a question. Kenny, what was your question? Who definitely showed up to talk to us with us about this film that he bought all the tickets for maliciously.
映画はそれが意図的にコミックであることを明らかにするためにしばらく時間がかかり、観客が狂気に引っかかると、それは自分の真剣な始まりです。
That's a good question, Kenny. Very good. Thank you for bringing your wisdom to this.
So yeah, I mean, what we're just talking about, like, did they purposely have this baby cart go 3 miles an hour to cut off people's limbs, purposely to make it comical, because they're like, everyone's going to love this. This is going to be like a comedy on a par of like the Three Amigos or.
Okay, I don't think that.
Yeah.
See, I think it's more of a gradient. I don't think I mean, obviously, the source material isn't supposed to be funny, right? Like, the normal movie is a serious film.
No, it's a serious thing. Some guy's trying to be murdered.
So, like, in that, I don't... Obviously, no, that's ridiculous. But in this cut, there's probably, like, slight degree of the editors being like, this is hilarious, let's put this one in. They made their own movie, so they had the whole library, and they can choose whatever scenes they wanted. So, they chose some weird ones in there. So, as part of it, I'm sure they kept some campy stuff in there just for the sake of American and British audiences are going to love this weird blood splatter, craziest scenes that we can think of.
They had to westernize it a little bit, especially since Shogun Assassin came out in 1980. At the time, you've got certain things that you can do and certain things you can't, especially with Western culture.
It's going to blow their minds, right?
Yeah. So they didn't want to really go with the full thing because it may not appeal to the Western audience at the time.
Okay, so that's about the time I was born, so I think I can kind of comment on this more than most people here, even though you're older than me.
Yeah. The same age.
No, we're the same age.
We're the same age?
Yeah.
So when you were born, that's not when you were a...
we were born a year after.
Film nerd who just lived through the 70s and wants to like see some weird movie.
Yeah, but the thing is that at that time, I think people were just like starving for any of this exoticism of the Far East.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm saying...
I mean, we still have that. That's why Hollywood has this whole kung fu movie block.
Yeah, you're right.
We're still doing it. So
I know, but I'm saying that is like a contributing factor to what I'm saying, where the edit that they chose to do is like, yeah, we're gonna create this movie and give them the not the racist version, but like the really stereotypy, like we're gonna make this like a samurai movie, you know?
Yeah, but see, I don't think they're only like, we're gonna pick out these parts and make it like comedic.
No.
I think it's
comedic is the wrong word. I don't mean comedic, and I don't actually mean like full on purpose campiness. I just mean I'm sure they were slightly self-aware after when they were doing the edits, where they're like, we see that this is. I mean, Star Wars has already been out at this point. We know what a movie should look like, and this is like, they're like, let's just choose the fun scenes. They have full creative control to make whatever movie they wanted to make out of the source material already.
Well, yeah, but it's like if we took Kill Bill, who's 1 and 2,
right,
and then just randomly selected scenes from it, but not the scenes that tell you what the story is. Like you never see her talking about how she was going to get married and they murdered her husband, but it's like showed her in the hospital bed, showed her trying to be murdered in the hospital bed, but no explanation.
And then your voiceover of her being like, I needed to go
a voiceover
on a journey
of her daughter.
Yeah.
Just dubbed in later from the daughter's perspective.
Exactly.
No, it's from Buck's perspective. But when he's like, I saw this woman in the hospital. Little did I know about her past. And then it shows these random scenes.
Exactly. And then you just pretty much just put the entire thing together with only the fight scenes. And only like, and this is where you're going to murder this person.
I think, I know. I just think if you're going into this project, there's no way you're going to be like, we're making a fully serious film that is going to be
I think they did it sincerely.
That's true.
Yeah.
But they had to
just
know
the way
that
it ended up was, I mean,
they watched it at the end, and they're like... They can't just be like, we did a great job. It's going to be like, well, I mean, we did the best of what we could.
I guess
this is the 80s. They thought it was a great job.
They were trying,
the bar was pretty low.
They were trying to make it more palatable to a Western audience by, I guess, cutting it down to, just the fights and then dubbing over it to make it also more easier to swallow, I guess. But
that's what we want to see. We want to see blood spurting everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's how you do it.
But now the dubbing kind of adds to the campy factor, which, well... I mean, at that time, that's just how it kind of was.
Yeah, I understand that.
I know. Yeah, that wasn't. It wasn't really intentional. I don't think they were trying to do it, but that's just how it is.
Well, exactly. I think the other parallel we can make is Evil Dead. Sam Raimi, this film there where they made it, they produced it, they edited it, they put it out, and then it just got famous for being super campy. That was not their intention at all going into it. Then they're like, oh no, this works, let's do this again, and we'll make Evil Dead 2, which is just a remake. So if they came back and made Shogun Assassin 2 and made it purposely campy, then I would be giving that the credit. But I think originally they were like, no, we're doing an homage to this, and they just fucked it up.
Yeah, no, I agree that that's probably mostly that. I just think there's probably like I don't know, not 100% were making a serious film during the production of this movie. They had to. I mean, they're aware. I mean, they're watching. They know what it looks like. They can't be like, nope, just blinders on, being like, we're making a masterpiece. I'm sure they're like, this is just going to be fun and cool, not we're making a great film of all time.
Yeah, so, if Robert Houston and or David Weisman...
Oh, we should get them on the...
Yeah, if they want to come and talk to us and clear this up...
That would be great, actually,
Yeah, or anyone knows them, have them call us, have them check out our...
1-800-ANNIE-BROS.
Yeah, call it 1-800-ANNIE-BROS.
Yeah, something like that. Twitter at us. However people this day and age communicate. Have them get a hold of us, and we will have this cleared up. But I'm saying they did a bad job.
I think I did read that they did release the other Lone Wolf and Cub movies, but as single movies and not spliced together versions. So I'm curious, what type? Like, did they do editing on those as well, or did they just do dubbing on them? I'm not sure. I just read that they also released the rest of them.
I think at this point in time, what we decided is that we need to watch the original source material on these.
It's going to be a new series. Like a mini Real Japan sort of introspection.
Yes. Exactly.
Figure out, we can really get to the bottom of this.
All right, Kenny, you have another question?
将軍アサシンはローウルフと株に関連づけることができると思いますかそれとも別の小説として見るべきでしょうか
Well, that's kind of what I was just saying, Kenny.
Great
Thanks
question.
for
Great question.
duplicating what I just said. Can you treat this as a own unique piece that is different from the actual Lone Wolf and Cub series?
Oh, yeah.
It kind of is.
It is its own thing. It ends. There's no sequel.
Well, it's just like a small snapshot of the story. Like,
I see that. It's called Shogun Assassin, but he never in this cut of the movie, or he goes to the Shogun's brother, is I guess the closest contact that we see him having.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, it's once again they are looking at fetishizing the Far East, and they're literally just saying nouns and putting them together. So when I said, "Oh, this is Shogun Samurai," this is literally what they probably did back in 1980 to title this thing.
What are some words that people will know in the West?
What they just are like, the Orient, it's whatever.
Exactly, and it's like, why didn't they just call it Lone Wolf and Cub?
People aren't going to know what that means.
Yeah. Why do they localize anything? Because of just weird reasons where they're like, no, it needs to sell. It needs to be optimized for the audience that we're trying to go for.
Yeah, exactly. So they're literally just putting two nouns together. Like, oh, Shogun. When did the book Shogun come out? 1975. Major thing. I mean, I read this when I was
when it came out.
Yeah,
when you were a cub.
When I was a cub, I read this thing. Great book, but it's doing the same stuff. Like I said, at that time and even now, really, there is still this like desire to get as much as possible of the
exotic
Asian.
Yeah.
It's different, you know.
Yeah,
they do the same thing kind of for us, where it's like, ooh, America with their cheeseburgers and their American
and
flags,
pizzas,
and their Jesus Christ. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
They all love Jesus Christ for some reason.
Would this be basically for an American audience? Would this be like a Western? And kind of treat it as that.
Yeah, actually, a lot of samurai films are kind of more of done in the spaghetti western style.
Yeah.
That's a whole can of worms too.
There's
a lot of discussion about this.
Seven Samurai and the Magnificent Seven. I mean,
I think the source material is definitely from Japan and then copied over. I'll say I believe it kind of goes that way.
Well, Kenny's original question is, like, do you think they can be considered separate entities, or are they...
Yeah, is one crap and another one good? Yes.
Yeah, I see it more as, like, this film production company, like, using the original movies to make their own movie. So it's just the medium of which their creativity was coming through. So because, you know, it's scenes, so you have to make it make sense, but they really basically did their own thing, so...
Oh, yeah. Well, they look at some of the 80s anime, like Voltron.
Yeah, right.
Where they... took Go Lion and made their own thing.
Or like a Robotech with Macross and Mosquito and everything. So.
Exactly. Because this is before they were feeling comfortable. Well, and this has been said before, to make it more easily digestible to a Western audience. Yeah. When I think those were wrong. Not saying that the Voltron or the
Star Blazers did the same thing.
Robotech or the Star Blazers, like the releases weren't good, but I think most people would say the actual ones are better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because there's so many changes. Like, so I don't see them as the same thing. Like,
Yeah, and what was that again, Kenny? You have something else?
wow, another thing to add?
ドーウルフが忍者を強姦しようとしていた人は誰ですか
I mean, were you
本
worried?
当に
Kenny?
誰がそう思ってんだろう There was yes, Kenny is referencing a scene where Lone Wolf was on a boat and
They all fell into the water.
yes, they all got wet and he removed his clothes, he removed his son's clothes, and there was a female ninja there, and he goes over and he starts forcibly removing her clothes, and
At this point, Kenny was very worried that
Kenny
a rape
apparently
was about to occur, and his beloved action anti-hero was going to have to be defiled in his light.
And then, in his second to last line of the movie, he
Lone Wolf
says,
says,
we need to be close so we can stay warm.
Yeah, which is obvious to everybody involved, I think, that you don't have a fire, you just had to swim through water, it's cold, you have to use your body heat. It's either that or they're going to cut her open and get inside her.
Tauntaun style.
Tauntaun style. Those are the only two things
if they really want to go for a Star Wars, the Star Wars feel, they could have edited that a different way. But
Exactly.
yes, the scene may have played out slightly strange since he didn't explain what he was doing as he was undressing her. Just once they were already naked, like, oh yes, and now we're keeping warm.
They were probably trying to go for that, like, misdirection sort of suspense.
Yes,
but it was pretty stupid, because you're like, they're obviously they need to warm up. If anyone knows anything about hypothermia, they need to, like, it's obvious what's happening.
Yes,
and they're going to try to trick me into thinking it might be a rape scene. But I feel like no one in the audience was concerned a rape might be occurring.
It was just
well, apparently one person.
Yeah.
the ninja was concerned about it,
Possibly two.
and Kenny was concerned
I was a little
about
concerned,
it.
like, why isn't he just telling her, like, with his words, what needs to happen?
Well, he's probably used to not talking.
But she's, like, fighting, and so, like, he needs to be like, we need to warm up.
Plus, right before that, she did just try and kill him.
That's true. He did spare a couple of female ninja.
Yeah, well, he always does show like a soft spot for that.
He's trying not to kill everyone. That is true. They're trying to kill him.
If they come after him, he'll kill them. But there was that scene where they had the roadside performance where, it was a bunch of ninjas in disguise doing a little roadside performance, and a couple of them were flipping around, and they came after him, and he killed those two, but he left all the other ones just gawking on the side of the road since they weren't directly coming after him.
Exactly.
They're just random. That would be awful if he just and you guys watching a performance. You probably knew it was ninja. Let's kill all of them.
This is Japan.
Some of them may have been ninja as well.
I mean, there is like a 30-minute thing. It starts with that, and then he runs across some other ones that throw the radishes at him. He murders them. I think he runs across somebody else. Like, I just like to imagine that's like a 1 mile sequence, and then there's just like 30 bodies laying there at the end of the whole thing.
Doesn't the narration say the first time he spares someone is when he gets dropped down the well? And
when his kid...
the son gets dropped down the well.
Classic thing.
And
kids
then,
always getting in wells.
Yeah, and they pull him up, and the ninja's standing there, and they pull him up, and he says in the narration, like, "This is the only time I saw my father spare someone."
Well, that's a lie.
But then, because then right after, then the woman who, Kenny thinks might have getting raped was spared as well. So
yeah, and it was a different ninja.
Exactly. So it's a completely different person, and he spared another. Different...
No, he spares a lot of female ninjas.
Yeah,
it is what happens. Actually, maybe we were thinking about this wrong. Maybe Kenny wasn't afraid that Lone Wolf was going to rape her. Maybe he was afraid that the cub was, because the cub did start like batting at her tit.
That's true. Like swatting
it. He's
swatting
swatting
like
her
a weirdo. Like I don't know what that scene was supposed to represent.
I almost, since he's a young kid, he might have been trying to get milk or something. It's like, I'm going to hit the titty and get some milk. I don't know.
Starving to death because they're wandering around in the wilderness.
Exactly. And stealing food from little Buddhist statues.
Why didn't they eat that radish? Maybe they did.
Well, they took one of them with them because it was still sticking to the cart.
That's what I'm saying. They probably ate it.
Oh, yeah.
He did take some radish,
Stealing the food from the offering of the grave.
Well, he did. Well, he offered.
He was cold.
He bowed, and he gave Yes,
different
so he
condition
could die of
later
hypothermia. He traded with the Jizo statue for its offering, so it's a fair trade.
That's what they mean by fair trade. these
Talking
days.
all about, I don't know, this, like the special effects or fights and stuff.
Oh, it was just.
I mean, it's just pretty
campy
typical for
cinema,
the
like
time.
really weird jump cuts that are pretty non-fluid and are.
In our first episode, we talked about Blade of the Immortal. Mm-hmm. And I think if you look at the fight scenes that you see here and the fight scenes you see in the Blade of the Immortal, they're still very similar. Mm-hmm. You know, like a group fight is done where they're all moving around them in a circle with their swords out, but only one or two will attack at a time.
Okay, so my problem is with not the fight choreography. That's like fine. It looked fine. It was literally the cinematography of like the shots and how they would compose the shots. It's kind of like when you're trying to make a movie and you're like, okay, ready, go, and you do like a thing, and it's like they didn't cut it before it was like correct, so you see kind of the guy hesitate and then do his cut, and then it like cuts back to the main,
like
and you're like, yeah, this doesn't look right. It's like they're not really doing it well.
Well, exactly. That's my point. If you look at this one here, the overall style and choreography is there.
Yeah, of course.
And if you look at one that were just done
within the last couple
last
years.
year, it's the same. It's just very much more polished.
Sure, but I mean, movies at the time also like looked pretty good. Like you watch like Rambo or something, and when they're doing fights and stuff, it doesn't look weird. Like,
are you trying to whitewash our podcaster?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you watch Jackie Chan movies, it doesn't look like that at all. Okay. There's like cool like kung fu scenes that like don't have this weird thing where it's like you're gonna do a punch and then it cuts to like a weird angle of the punch going, and then like back to the regular punch where you're like, I don't.
Oh come on! Super Cop had that weird scene, and there's only scene out of like all the Jackie Chan movies where they fall through the glass, like ceiling in the mall, and then they do the shot from like 16 different angles repeatedly.
Yeah. That's stylistic choice. I think that was less like, we have one chance and we gotta film like a puppet hand going, then gets chopped off all weird, so then you can tell what happened up and close where you're like, okay, I just saw a puppet's hand get chopped. I don't believe that happened on screen. Because you just cut from like a cool scene to like a puppet hand. And then back, and I'm like, I noticed you guys. I know. You didn't pull a fast one on me like you thought you did. You did.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. So, have we been giving ratings to the movies we've been seeing?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's something we should work on. Is you know,
maybe we should all make up different scales so we all have our own.
Yeah, I would give this one 3 samurai swords out of 10.
Yeah, I give this one out of 10. I give it maybe 4 severed puppet hands out of 10.
I give it 4 radishes out of 10.
Nice.
3 baby carts.
That's all I was gonna do.
All right, so what was that, Kenny?
Oh, Kenny had another question?
Yeah, learn to speak up.
聞いていただきありがとうございます。
Oh, and thank
ベニ
you.
ーアウト。
Oh, all right. I guess Kenny's leaving.
I guess Kenny's
just
left
gone.
us. He said, quote, Kenny out. So I think that wraps us up for today, it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Probably don't watch this movie. If you want to watch a movie like this, and one I haven't seen, but I'm sure that the original Lone Wolf Cup films are way better, and you should just watch those instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree.
But the scenes that the source material used were cool, so watch the original.
Yeah, we definitely watched some of the scenes I remembered from the other movies. Just kind of pulling them up to watch those. And these guys are like, oh, that's cool. Why didn't that make it into this movie?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So probably just we'll watch those next and have a better time.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us here at Real Japan. And we'll be back later with more live action goodness from Japan.
Make sure you go to our website at www.anniebruscreative.com and you can subscribe to this podcast to listen to just Real Japan, or subscribe to all the rest of the podcasts that we do, which is a lot now.
Repping for Fujoshi Trash Talk.
Yeah, so if you want to listen to more anime banter, just, do that.
Arigato. Banzai.
Banzai!